listening to the Tea Dropcast.
Hello, and thanks for tuning in to the Tea Dropcast. I'm your host, Pogoda, and in this episode, I sit down with my good friend Ravyn for an in-depth explanation of my own personal, intentional life roadmap. Ravyn is the host of Seeker's Library podcast and a self-proclaimed transformational guide. She studies a range of personology and typology modalities in order to help others discover and understand their true selves and purpose based on ancient and modern systems. To put it simply, she offers individuals their own quote-unquote user manual to being human. You're about to learn a whole lot about me from this reading, and after doing so, I encourage you to have your own intentional life roadmap created by Ravyn, or to commission one for a friend or loved one. All listeners of the Tea Dropcast will receive a 10% discount by visiting the link in the show notes. Please enjoy this episode with Ravyn. Cheers.
Yeah.
Yay, we're doing it. We're here in this super secret location under the Palo Verde trees.
Yes.
Here in sunny North County, San Diego, where we're lucky enough to have warm, beautiful, sunny weather in the middle of January. And I'm here with Ravyn.
Thank you.
One of my very good friends and fellow podcast hosts.
And roommates.
We're actually in our backyard, which is why it's such a super secret location. We don't want any of you showing up here to... I mean, actually, we want some of you to show up here, but...
Parties sometimes.
Yeah, we'll send the invitation to the right people. But I'm really excited because today, Ravyn is going to give me a reading of my intentional life roadmap.
Yes.
And as I'll be mentioning in the intro, she also has her own podcast called Seeker's Library. And in it, she interviews different experts on different modalities of basically discovering who you are based on ancient and modern modalities. So applying all of the knowledge through the ages to discovering who you are, discovering your purpose, and learning more about yourself and becoming more self-aware.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for being here. And I'm really excited to hear more about myself. And part of the reason I wanted to do this is because I think this is a really great offering. This is a really great way to start the new year, to learn more about yourself. And also would be a really great gift for someone. Like I was mentioning before, you also will do this sort of reading for couples. Mm-hmm. And I think it'd be a really great wedding gift. You're going to kind of just get into the details of mine, which you're saying will probably take about an hour or so. So before we get started on that, I just wanted you to tell us a little bit more about what got you interested in doing this sort of work and discovering these sorts of things.
Sure. Well, thank you so much for having me. I came all the way from my bedroom to get here. So thank you for making this incredibly convenient for me.
I know it's not always easy to get you out of your bedroom. So
because I am a hermit, and that's also in my design. And, we teach what we need the most. And I needed these systems. I turned to these systems to help me understand myself. I was working in corporate and living in New York City, and I kind of went through the standard American system, and I was in the quote-unquote matrix, and some big life-changing events happened around my Saturn's return, and I started to wake up and realized I didn't know myself. I didn't know who I was, and I had just done everything that I was told to do through the system. And when I started to wake up, I realized that I needed some guideposts. I needed some reminders of what my purpose is here and why I came here. So I started with astrology, and then really just became obsessed with all things typology, and then it was numerology, and then I went to a Gene Keys workshop, and then I found out about human design, and then it was a folder, and then it became a binder, and Seeker's Library was birthed when I was still living in New York back in 2015. And yeah, I now use these systems to help me understand myself and help me understand everyone else, because we're all so different. We're all so unique.
Yep. And one thing I've learned about you by living with you is that you are very thorough and detailed. And one of the things I wanted to bring up is that you've brought us tea.
Yes.
Which I ask all of my guests to do, is bring tea, and in your natural, thorough form, you've brought us a little tea service. Why don't you tell me about what you brought today?
Yeah, so this is pu'er, and it's like 100-old trees pu'er, and I actually got it at Wonderland in Oregon, which is owned by Elijah Parker, who I met at a Gene Keys workshop, and Poe Rosenberg, shout out to Poe, the tea master. I did a tea ceremony with him and bought this pu'er before I even arrived in California. So this was like on my seeking journey after I quit my job and left New York. So I'm bringing some Gene Keys influence.
Full circle.
Full circle, yeah.
I love it. It's delicious. I love having, and pu'er you can steep multiple times.
Yes.
It's a good tea service tea. It's a whole experience, you keep steeping it, the flavors change, and it's also a fermented tea, so it has a lot of really great health benefits. And pu'er, it's definitely one of my favorites. It's a little bit more, it's becoming more common in regular grocery stores, but a good pu'er usually you have to get from like an Asian market, and it often comes in a brick. It's fermented and then compressed in a brick form, and then you break off the pieces, and it's really delicious. I'm glad that you went the extra step and actually provide us with a little tea ceremony. Well, great. I guess we should start getting into this intentional life roadmap of mine, so I can learn more about myself.
Yeah, and I just want to say that, I like to say that we are a community of one, expressing ourselves in billions of ways. And so you are a unique being, and all of these systems, let me pull this up properly. I like to use 7 key systems to help you understand yourself. And I find that there are synergies when you look at all of these systems as a whole. So they're all based on your birth information. So I have your birth information and also your birth certificate name. So I have that as well. And that's the main pieces of information that I use to compile your intentional life roadmap. And I also use your father's birthday, so your biological the opposite sex birthday for one of the systems, the genetic energetics. So those are the key pieces of information that I need to create your intentional life roadmap. And I like to start off with numerology. And Pythagoras, the godfather of numerology, his motto was all is number. And so at birth, your parents gave you a name and the universe gave you a number. And so have you ever had a connection to the number 8 before, like in your life? Has 8 been a number? Because it is like all up your chart, like all across your chart is 8.
Number 8, I haven't really noticed, but maybe I should start noticing.
It's your lucky number. And so your life path is an 8.
Nice.
So you are the abundant business leader.
Oh, good.
Yeah. And really the overarching word that is just like standing out in your roadmap is power. And I'll show you that as we go through it. So 8, the abundant business leader. This is a vibration of leadership and strength and power. And also getting messages from spirit and really just bringing those messages to earth and materializing them into goods that can be exchanged for money. So that is really your life path. And your life path number, I'll just actually I should have already said this, is if your life was a movie, this would be the theme. So it's not, each one of these systems and each number, each piece that I'm going to go over is just like another piece to, or another note to the song, to the beautiful song that is Pogoda. So yeah.
I'm curious, how was the number 8 come about? How did that?
So we add up your birthday for this life. So it would be, so your birthday is October 14th, 1982. So it's 1 plus 0, 10, 1 plus 4, and then 1 plus 9 plus 8 plus 2. So you add the numbers up individually like that. And then actually what adds up to that is 53, I believe. Actually, no, that's your destiny number. Anyways, it's 8 is the final number. Nice. And what I also found, so your destiny number, which is also called your expression number, this is based on the full name you're given at birth. And it's also an 8.
Wow.
And 8's going to come up again in destiny cards as well. So this is where 53 comes in. So I just added another layer of the number 8, because it's 5 plus 3 equals 8 for your destiny number. So again, this is a leadership number, and the recommendation is it's best that you work for yourself.
Interesting.
And that you're oriented towards financial abundance and business, and you're creative and inquisitive, and you can accomplish a lot even with a lot of obstacles. And so, yeah, I'm going to touch on that again in a bit with your human design, but I'll just move, there's a lot to cover. There's so much to cover. I just want to also say that this is not something that you're going to just like get today.
Yeah.
This is something that you're going to have with you for life. And this is what I wanted in my discovery, is like, I want to go back to these systems. I want them to all be in one place so that I can reference them. So really, these are guideposts. These are permission. And
one of the things you do is you print it out. And so you've given me this whole pamphlet.
So many pages.
Which
40 plus pages.
Is basically a manual to living myself, a manual to myself. So
Right. But I'm really quick not to say that this is your, like, not to label yourself with these systems. It's really about just referencing them for guidance, for permission, and for confirmation. A lot of times it's like, oh yeah, I'm already doing that. Cool. And so I'm really quick, Libra is your sun sign, and it comes up a lot. It's like really easy to be like, I'm a Libra, but what does that mean for you? And that's what we'll address here. So your heart's desire, also called your soul's urge number. This is what motivates you in life, what makes you jump out of bed in the morning, and what excites you. And it's based on the vowels in your birth name. And so I
have my parents really to thank for a lot of this direction.
It's
interesting.
It's all divine. Like it's cosmic, it's like they channeled your name, and so, the numbers are the interpretation of your name. And so you're unique, you're powerful, you're original, you're individual, you're innovative, and you're daring. And so this is a vibration of being a self-starter, self-confident, and self does come up a lot. Independence does come up a lot across your charts, and knowing you, I know this already about you. And so you're here to learn to be self-sufficient and self-reliant.
I definitely recognize that about myself. And also being an only child. Independence is pretty key to me and important to me, and being able to take care of myself. I love hearing all these things. They've all been super positive and exciting. I know at some point we're going to get to the dark side, but it's, this is, so don't worry, this isn't just going to be me like massaging my ego, being like, wow, I'm just so great and independent and a great business leader.
And there's shadow sides to every number. I actually address some of it, like I'll just mention it since you brought it up there.
Great. I asked for it.
You have the tendency, you can have the tendency to be aggressive or possibly quick to fight. You like being alone, but you also need to learn how to share as well. But I also think that, you know, the shadow side isn't always prevalent, especially like with evolved people such as yourself. You know, there's the tendency of the shadow, but I really do like to focus on the positive side. Because I feel like we already went through all the shadow stuff.
Yeah.
But that is
it's good to be aware of, though, that you have a tendency to be that way. And whenever issues do come up, you can understand that, okay, it's true that I do have a tendency to be this way, and it's going to affect my relationships or whatever you're trying to do in your life. Yeah.
And in the gene keys, which we'll get to in a minute, Richard Rudd, who created the gene keys, he says there's a gift in the shadow. So every single gene keys that has a shadow, a gift, in a city, and there's always the gift comes out of looking at the shadow. So you really do need to always look at both the darkness and the light within you. And so, okay, the personality number. So this is the way people see you. So metaphorically, if it's like walking down a long corridor to meeting you, this would be the first thing that people see. Similar to your ascendant sign in astrology, which we'll get to later, this is how people perceive you right off the bat. So they perceive you as curious, the curious truth seeker. And maybe that's why I'm on your show. And
that's a good description of why we're here right now.
Yeah. So, yeah. And this is just like wanting to know why we're here, what our purpose is. And so anyone who has a 7 in their chart is interested in science and technology, philosophy, psychology, metaphysics, spirituality, and the esoteric world. And it's a vibration of wisdom. So yeah, this is your personality number. And I think you actually have, so you actually have 2 7s. So you have 2 8s, 2 7s. There's going to be 6 numbers total in your numerology blueprint. So your maturity soul's purpose number, this is your ultimate purpose in life. So again, this curious truth seeker, really wanting to know, what are we doing here? And what is my real purpose here? And this vibration actually comes out from the age of 30 onwards. I also just added another layer because for your soul's purpose, your maturity number, you add up your life path number as well. So it's actually 16. So the number 16 is what you're here to do is perfect your intuitive hunches. And again, you work best alone. So this is not to say that you can't work with people, but you work best alone, and you prefer quality over quantity, which I do know that about you. Yeah. You like things done right and well. What did you say to me? You're like, I said I wanted a half good video shoot. You're like, I don't do half good. I was like, let's just do better. Yeah. And then finally is your birthday number. So this number indicates the skills you possess as well as any challenges you need to overcome. And you are the number 5, the free-spirited adventurer, which... Oh, big surprise. Yeah, surprise. And I actually share this number as my life path. So this is about obviously traveling, fills your soul. And so you... really your heart opens and your mind opens to new things, new ideas, new cultures, and you need variety in your life. And so, this is kind of what you naturally possess, and can also be challenging. Yeah. And the gypsy life. Yeah. And we'll talk a little bit more. So that's all the numerology. Well, actually, that's the 6 key blueprint numbers. And you're in the 9th year of a 9-year cycle. So in numerology, we all go through 9-year cycles. And you add up your month, day, and then the current year. So you will enter your new cycle on your next birthday. So at the end of this year, you're going to start a brand new 9-year cycle. So if you think back of the last 8 years of your life, like this year is about completing what you started 8 years ago. So the recommendation is to feng shui your life.
Oh, an addiction of mine.
Yeah, you're like, permission to feng shui my life. Yes. Yeah, so this is really, it's also about endings, you know, and clearing out like any people or any things in your life that are really no longer serving you that you don't want to take into this next cycle. So yeah, this is about transformation and
can you birds keep it down? Birds.
Kind of loud. We're filming here.
It's great.
Yeah. So yeah, I love checking the personal year when I looked at my personal year, when I quit my job in 2016, I was ending a 9-year cycle. And so when I started my whole traveling, that was my year 1. When I met my partner, that was year 2. The year 2 is typically when you connect with someone in relationships. So it's really cool to watch what year you're in your personal year. So I love this. And yeah, the recommendation is to really just review what you've kind of done this cycle.
That's interesting because I started out this year literally going through making my vision board, and then I literally just went through all of my photos and just kind of reviewing my life and organizing everything and kind of going through an emotional process. But yeah, I kind of felt like I just felt this overwhelming need of this needs to be done in order for me to move on. I need to kind of like put the past behind and keep going forward.
Yeah. And again, it's like you naturally know, you intuitively knew that you needed to do that. This just confirms. Like, yep, this is the right time for you to do that. I also include this triad, and the 3 important birth numbers is something that wealth astronumerologist Tanya Gabrielle uses. So this is your life purpose, your destiny, and your day of birth. So again, you have 2 8s and a 5. So basically you're the free-spirited adventurer that's super powerful and abundant.
This is great.
And then I like to also, we're still in numerology, I use the life purpose system. So this is a book that Dan Millman wrote, and he just approaches numerology just a little bit differently. So you are a 26-8 in the life purpose system, meaning it's 26 that your birthday adds up to, and then 6 plus 2 is 8. So it has another layer where 2 is cooperation and balance, 6 is vision and acceptance, and that adds up to 8, which is influence and abundance. So
much math.
Yeah. So much math. I know. And I was never into math. It's really funny. And now I'm like, I love numbers. Yeah. So you're here to work through issues, here we go, of perfectionism, money, power, and recognition.
Interesting.
And really, you want to sharing their abundance in alignment with their highest vision and ideals in the service of others. So that's like your ultimate goal.
So you're saying, so these traits, the perfectionism and the money and the power and the recognition, those are issues. So they're something that causes me like difficulties, or
they're really like what you came here to master. So it's like you have all these 8s in your charts, and it's like, oh, I'm an abundant business leader. Like, you don't just get that on a silver platter. Like you have to really work through whatever issues, whatever resistance you have to accepting and embracing the divine keys that you left and are here to experience. So there's always like a challenge with your what you actually came here to embrace. It can also be challenging. So that's I know that you started off your life, or there was a period of your life where you're like punk rocker and like,
yes,
challenging the
Confirmed.
system. And, so how can you, I mean, this is really for you to work with. Like, I can only provide you your roadmap, and this is something that you're going to contemplate for the rest of your life, really. And it's usually due to the quality of your work that you get recognized, and you are here to hold money and recognition in perspective and focusing on the higher purpose. So there's some recommendations that I put at the bottom that are included in Dan Millman's life purpose system that he recommends. And yeah, recognize your value and let your light shine.
Perfectionism. Speaking of perfectionism, I just wanted to check on the camera and make sure everything's recording properly.
Oh, that'd be really awkward. It's like, start over.
I always have paranoia that it's not. No, okay, we're good.
Okay, I'm just gonna.
Oh, we have Tola just laying here in the front.
Oh, she's in the front.
We have a special guest audience. Maybe we'll introduce some of our live studio audience. They're all furry.
I might have to pee at some point with all this tea, but we'll.
Yeah, we're allowed to take tea breaks.
Okay.
Pee breaks.
Tea breaks.
Pee breaks. They go hand in hand. This is great. I love when other people make me tea. Okay. See, that's why there's two. Awesome. This will keep us awake too.
Oh my
There's
gosh.
caffeine.
You ready?
Okay, I'm ready. Let's go.
Okay, so The Secret Language of Birthdays is a awesome book, and really just goes through every single birthday, every day. So you are the day of moderation.
Interesting.
Measured, reasonable, composed. And yeah, this is so it is through mistakes that you grow and learn to turn things to your advantage in the future. And this comes up, and I want to address this in human design because you're a 1-3, and so it's all about trial and error. So I'll just pause on that. But you have to like try things for yourself.
Yeah, definitely.
Like, you can't just like take somebody's word for it. Like, you're like, no, I need to do this and experience it for myself. So we'll just go right to human design. So as I mentioned, you're a 1-3. So you're a 1-3 investigating martyr generator, single definition, and the right angle cross of Maya 3.
Okay, this all sounds so woo. I'm sure. Like, hopefully, people just she's gonna interpret it.
Yeah.
But I'm just curious. Like, human design. What exactly is this based on? What is human design?
Okay, so human design is based on it. It's a combination of the I Ching with astrology. That also includes elements of the Hindu chakra system and the Kabbalah tree of life. So they call it the science of differentiation, if I can say that right. And Ra Uruhu, who channeled this system, it's going to get real woo to explain this, but he basically heard a voice over the span of, I think it was 8 days during the supernova of 1989, I believe.
Oh wow, that recently.
Yeah.
Is the 80s.
Yeah,
Interesting.
yeah. So and Gene Keys is based off of human design. So it's based off the I Ching, which is ancient.
Yeah.
And astrology.
I think human design is one of the things whenever I mention to people what you do, and I mention human design, so many people are like, oh, I just started getting into that. That stuff's really interesting. And I don't think people fully grasp what it is, but it is interesting to learn about. And I think it's getting more recognition in the community, or people that are just looking to learn more about themselves and their connection. Yeah.
And when I was at the Gene Keys workshop, I went to the Chapel of Sacred Mirrors, where Alex and Allison Gray's place in New York. Yeah. When I was still living out there, I went to a Gene Keys workshop, and then someone told me about human design. And when I first saw the human design chart, I was like, what is that? I don't understand it.
Yeah, it's pretty complex
it's
looking.
Really weird and complex. Exactly. So, however, and you can go down a rabbit hole. They say that it takes 7 years to understand these systems. What I like to focus on is the highlights for all of these systems. So your strategy and authority, and we'll go through that. Your strategy and authority, and your incarnation cross. I feel like, and knowing your open centers, and you have a lot of open centers. So I feel like just starting there is a really great start to just really know what your type is. So you are a generator. You have a defined sacral. You have consistent energy. Generators are basically the builders, and 70% approximately of the population are generators. They're the key to life on this planet. So it's really important, and you really can I say the word shit?
Yeah.
You can get shit done. Like, whatever. Sure. Yes, you get shit done. And honestly, I don't have a defined sacral. So when I'm around you and you're working, I'm like, sweet.
I've noticed that.
Vibe off your generator energy, and I get a lot more done when I'm around you. And it's really helpful. So your authority is sacral. And that is this gut knowing, this like or like that is your authority. That's your intuition. So you get a gut feeling. I actually have a splenic intuition, so it's a different intuition. Not everybody has a gut intuition, even though that's a lot of, people think, oh, gut feeling, but it's just a large percentage of the population are sacral defined. So that's why they say that as more of like an overarching thing. But so it's not for everybody, but you have a sacral gut intuition and knowing, and your strategy is to respond. So you have this open, enveloping aura that is just attracting things. Things are coming to you constantly. You don't need to like make things happen. Because they're coming to you anyways. All you have to do is say yes or no. All the time. You can just say yes or no. That's your strategy, is to respond. And
I've definitely been fortunate in good opportunities coming to me in life. And I know some people get, I don't know, I don't want to say jealous, but like it's not necessarily, like, I've definitely lined things up in my life to be open to these opportunities. It's not a lot of the things I've done. Not anyone could just drop what they're doing, drop their family life or whatever to just like hop on the road and do a trailer tour. But because I've like lined things up to be more open to those experiences coming. And I think that goes into my intuition and my gut instincts. Like when I get really excited about something, I'm like, I have to do this. There's no not doing it. And that was something I talked about in the podcast that I did on Between Dreams. Was he was like, how do you just like accomplish all these things that seem crazy to people? And I'm like, I can't not. Like that's just beyond my understanding. Like once I get the idea in my head, I have to go with it. So that makes sense to me.
Yeah, and opportunities are just gonna keep coming throughout your life, and it's just about you responding. And you are a 1-3, so this is an eternal student of life, very introspective, and really the way you experience life is through trial and error. This is just how I actually don't have many 3s in my chart, but you do. You have a lot of 3s. So you have to go out and try something. Like you have to experience these life on the road. And have these experiences. And the right angle cross of the Maya 3 is looking for value. It's really about survival. So you have a survival instinct naturally within you. And this helps. You're here to bring that in a way to ensure the survival of our species. Like that's part of like a coding for you. And so that is like just the main overarching highlights of human design. You have one main channel. And again, the word power comes up over and over and over again. So you have the channel of power. It's a design of an archetype. So you're able to respond intuitively to any situation, moment to moment. You're extremely alert and tuned into survival and well-being. And this is a really great skill to have, being on the road, being self-starter, being an individual. This is important for you. This is how you are able to survive, how you are able to be so independent. You know how to survive. You know how to take care of yourself. you know how to take care of your body. And so it's a really self-empowered
Lots of
way.
tea.
Lots
That's
of
how you
tea.
take care of your body.
Lots of tea and runs with Tola. All right. So lots of gates, and I really just skip over this, and I just say
what exactly is a gate?
Yeah. So if you look at your chart, these
okay.
are all of your gates and your personality and your design, your conscious and your unconscious. So these are just all the gates that are activated, and this can also be looked at through the Gene Keys lens.
Okay.
And really, so a gate is one activation. A channel would be, see this like 22 here. You have the activation of this gate here, and not the full channel. So a channel is like this one right here.
I'm so glad you're interpreting this, because this is so looks like another language.
I know. And again, there are so many experts out there.
Yeah.
I really like to focus on the highlights. What can I use right now?
Yeah.
And I do recommend getting deeper readings if you feel called to learn more.
Mm-hmm.
There are many, and I feature them on my podcast, experts that are dedicating their whole life to learning this system and deeply. But yeah, this is the gates are just when you have kind of one side of this full channel activated.
Okay. I see.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, these are all of your gates. And okay, still on human design, and we have the same digestion type. So you are nervous touch feeling. We are nervous touch feeling. So we actually have a pretty calm internal system. So we actually seek stimulation from the outside environment. Natural multitaskers, but we're also really sensitive. So it's really important to ask, how is this food going to make me feel? And it's interesting because I'm also an Ayurvedic chef, so I have an Ayurvedic nutrition background. And when I learned Ayurveda, it was like everybody needs to eat in a calm, meditative state. That's how everyone is supposed to eat. But actually, according to human design, we all have different digestion types. So it's actually good for us to have stimulation. It's good for us to listen to a podcast or something while we're eating, to listen to music, to go out to a busy restaurant, everyone's loud and talking. We can handle that. Not everybody can handle that. There's some people who have the opposite, calm touch, that need the meditative Ayurvedic type eating environment. We're not that type.
Yeah.
So that's your digestion type. And then your environment type, which I know I tagged you in a post about this, your cave selective, which is like, surprise, surprise.
I like my small spaces.
You like your enclosed, safe spaces, basements, dens, forts, cabins, and trailers. So yeah, that is your key human design environment type. Okay. So that is pretty much it that I cover in these sessions on human design. And then Gene Keys is a whole other system. Again, this is really something that you want to contemplate. Richard Rudd talks about this art of contemplation. So I wouldn't even be able to explain this chart for you in this one session like this. So this is your Gene Keys chart.
And it's based on, it's also based on not just your birth date, but also your time and the exact location. So that's why whenever you ask someone for their birth location, which some of us actually have to go do some research to find out. But it's important to knowing this. And this is related to the stars? Well,
all of them are related to the stars.
Okay.
All of them. And because where we were born, at the time we were born, the location we were born, the day we were born, all of these systems are based on that. And so we come from the stars and we'll return back to the stars. And so this is, and Gene Keys, you can see like these are actually all the I Ching hexagrams around here. So that's the other layer is the I Ching. And again, Gene Keys was created after Richard Rudd studied human design with Ra or Rahu. So human design is like,
so this is even newer than,
it's even newer. Yeah. And human design is like the father side, more structural. And then Gene Keys is more like the storyteller, mother, feminine kind of dancing energy. So you're not just going to get it in one snapshot. I can tell you your strategy and authority in human design. In Gene Keys, it's a deeper contemplation that really only you can understand. You could have the exact same Gene Keys profile as me, and it would be different. It would mean something different. So so you want to start off with the activation sequence, and the life's work is the first key. So your life's work is a 32.1. So you are the line 1, which is the creator, and your 3 words are, well, the shadow is failure, the gift is preservation, and the city is veneration. Your purpose down here is I'll just say the gift is inspiration. So again, your deepest purpose is to manifest the gift of inspiration. And
that's what we're here to do.
so much. And I kind of breezed through it, the Gene Keys, because there's so much. I do encourage starting with the life's work key and working your way through the activation sequence. I'm currently in the activation sequence. Gene Keys is offering 4 months of deep dive just with these 4 keys. And that's actually how I started. So there's also the Venus sequence, which is more about your personal relationships. And then your Pearl sequence is about more of like your career and business. So it's a lot, and you don't want to skip ahead. So you want to start with the activation sequence.
So if you gave this reading to someone and they wanted to find out more about it, so they could go and find it online, or should they get a book?
Well, I include resources.
Oh, okay.
So you, in this Intentional Life Roadmap, you have all of the links to every single one of these systems, multiple links for each system, because I've done that all for you. So it's all in this one PDF.
Great.
You would go to genekeys.com to get your profile, which I also send you. So that's where you would start. And then what I'm going to be doing with my website is featuring experts that I know personally, that I've worked with personally, that I've had on my show, featured experts that you can book sessions with to dive deeper into each of these systems. So I call myself a wizard synthesizer and a self-awareness guide, and really provide you with the roadmap. And then I can do more deeper readings with some of these systems, but in other systems I'm still very much a student, and Gene Keys is one of those. I'm still very much a student, and I've been loving the experience of going through this. So the art of contemplation, that would be the last, piece. Like Richard Rudd says, like, if you did one thing, I would just say pause. And so really,
that's good to know, because I'm the kind of person that if I'm not doing something, I get this like internal conflict of like, I'm not getting stuff done. And I've had to remind myself, no, sometimes you just need that space in between to really think about what you're going to do. And it's hard when everyone around you is, accomplishing things and doing everything, to actually like sit quietly and really think about it. And also you get pressure from people, like, oh, what have you gotten done this week? And like, part of what I'm learning that I need to do is getting something done might be contemplating. It might be my like internal planning and really thinking about what I'm doing, and then that can be more valuable than just doing.
That's right. Especially this year for you, especially in your 9th year, it is a time to contemplate. And also, like he mentioned this yesterday, actually, in one of the workshops I was watching. People say like, oh, I'm just going to take a break after I get all this stuff done. He recommends like, no, you take a pause in the middle of doing something. Like take a deep breath while you're doing something. Pause then. So Gene Keys is awesome. All All right, you ready to move on?
Yes. Next.
The next system, one of my favorites, is your galactic signature. So this is a whole nother system and calendar. The Mayan dream spell is actually the 13 moon calendar, or they call it the synchronometer. So
this is Mayan.
tones.
This is based on
This is
Mayan.
based on classic Mayan calendar system. So there's 13 tones and 20 seals. So this is your gift to the world. And so there's 260 possibilities. So there's 13 moons in a calendar year. The 260, oh, hey.
We have special guests just walking by.
Like, hey.
She's like, you're in my house now.
So 260 is the gestation of a full pregnancy. We have 13 major joints in our body and 20 fingers and toes. So this calendar system is very much connected to the actual earth and human body, unlike the Gregorian calendar, which I have episodes on and I won't go down a rabbit hole about right now.
There's many rabbit holes that we could
so
go
many
down.
rabbit holes, yeah. So you are red overtone moon, kin 109. So you're part of the red moon tribe. So you're wearing your colors right now, your
Nice.
red colors.
I've just accepted red into my life, so
I
this
love
is
it.
interesting.
We have so much red here today.
Yeah, red's new. It's something that I started taking on actually with the Tea Drop trailer. I was like, I'm gonna go like reds and golds, both colors that I've, I was like black and white and neon for so long. So it's interesting. Maybe it's because I've been reflecting and finding my true red tone.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, you have your main glyph, your kin is the red overtone moon. So there's the red moon tribe and the overtone, which is all about power, command, and radiance. And red moon purifies your universal water and flow. And really, you're the one who really taught me about flow. So it's in your design to have flow be important. And I know how important flow is to you.
Well, good thing we live with flow flags.
I know, right? Shout out to flow flags.
Yeah, our other roommate, which she's partially responsible for helping me discover flow, because flow flags are such an easy way to pick up a physical practice of flow, and which you can then translate to all aspects of your life. And I'm like a firm believer that you need to do physical flow, whether it's yoga, whether it's a flow art, or there's just so many ways to do it. But it helps you in your thought processes. It helps you just understand the way that the world works.
Yeah. Yeah, and you also are a badass poi fire spinner.
I wouldn't say badass. I would say...
Oh my God, for me, you're badass. I'm like, I can't do that. So awesome. So you're also born on a galactic activation portal day. So not everybody is born on a gap day, they call it. And really, that means that anyone that is born on a gap day is likely to play an important part in universalizing some form of teaching, art form, or music. So it's just an added layer of responsibility that you have, and this podcast is part of that. And your life question is, how best can I empower myself? I just want to go through too, because your compliment is the white dog.
No way.
Obviously.
Tola. She's like, I know. She's coming over. My compliment.
Yeah.
My
so
baby.
This is really your compliment is the white dog and the galactic signature, which makes total sense. And you are guided by red earth, and I know how important it is for you to be outside in nature, and that makes sense because you're guided by that power of navigation too. So that's it just, like, when I really look at this, I'm like, oh, that makes so much sense. So I won't go too far into this, but there's another way to look at it. This is just another system. You're also born during the red serpent wave spell. So again, this is about your physicality, survival instinct. So this is like I like to focus on the synergies that come up in your chart. Again, power, survival, this is
that's interesting. Totally different modalities, but similar readings.
Yeah, I like to say that they're like different languages describing different aspects of ourselves. That's what my kind of zone of genius is with Seeker's Library and the Intentional Life Roadmap, is like just saying, hey, there are synergies and let's look at that. So that's really what I'm bringing through. So that's the galactic signature. Your gift to the world is I empower in order to purify, commanding flow. I seal the process of universal water. So water is an important part for you, with the overtone of radiance. I am guided by the power of navigation. I am a galactic activation portal. So
is that like my mantra?
That's basically your mantra. And when I first read mine, I was like, what is this? You know? So I understand for you and for anyone else out there listening, like just thinking that this sounds weird. Again, this is like really meant to sink in over time. But I know through just looking at each glyph has 3 words. Look at those and over time this will start to make sense. But I know just right away that the white dog makes sense, like obviously. Yeah. Okay. Are you ready for the next one?
Yes.
So
what number are we on now?
We are on number 5.
5.
Yeah, we're on number 5. So the next system is the Destiny cards, which is literally based off a deck of playing cards. And I'll be interviewing the founder of this system soon. But really, there was mysticism in these cards already that
just
had
regular
lost.
old playing cards.
Regular old playing cards.
Huh.
And you are an 8 of clubs. So again, another 8. It's the card of mental power. So another symbol of power. And it's your life path is one of the most successful cards in the deck. So embrace that in this next chapter, 9-year cycle that you're going to be starting with your birthday this year. With this knowledge, like you can really, really embrace that and accept that. So the 8 of clubs.
She's just chewing 6. I just want to get the stick away.
Yeah, so the 8 of clubs has the power to acquire knowledge and the obligation to share it and spread it. So if we look at now also looking at your numerology, just being a curious truth seeker, just having this abundance in your life naturally, and also the power to share this information and spread it. This is part of your kind of dharma and your mission. If you don't learn and teach, you can't fulfill your mission. So it's important for you to share and share the knowledge that you acquire. So, yeah, let's take a tea sip. Okay. So that's really all I talk about with Destiny cards. I also offer deeper readings with Destiny cards.
How did you even find out about this? That regular old playing cards had some sort of place in our discovering ourselves.
You know, once I opened the door or the book of Seeker's Library, I became like seeking out any system that I could use with my birth information to help me understand myself. And this one came about just really synchronistically. Like someone actually, when I told them about Seeker's Library, they were like, oh, did you know about Destiny cards? I was like, no,
another thing.
And I actually reached out to the founder, Robert Lee Camp, and he's been really generous with his time. I've been reading both of his, well, he has many books, but both of his books, and that I bought, and it's been awesome.
So how did you come about the 8 of clubs?
So it's based on your birth information.
Oh, okay.
So everybody, there's
do you you just input it and
you just input it and it just tells you. And the book has more information, and you also there's deeper layers. There's also a planetary card that you have. We can do yearly spreads. You can do weekly spreads.
Wow.
And they all have different meanings. And 8 of clubs is actually part of the Mystic 7. Layer on another yeah, just it's fascinating, and it's actually, potentially the reason for the deck of cards.
We're just waving at Nicole walking by.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so Destiny cards. 8 of clubs.
8 of clubs.
Another
Okay.
8, which is, if you look, it's like this infinity symbol. So it's something that you can play with your graphics, with, you go to casino, I would bet on 8. Yeah. Okay, so genetic energetics. I interviewed the owner of this system, who's actually in the San Diego community, Larry Michael, and he says that the genetic energetics is like knowing our blood type. And it's actually a system that originally was intended for dating sites, because when you know your talking style and your attraction style, then you can and your partners, it's helpful. If you're a totally different talking style, like we are actually different talking styles. So I'm a figurative talking style. So I could be like, oh my God, I'm done with this, whatever. You would take me literally, because you are a structural talking style. But I might just be, I'm probably just being dramatic. Yeah. And I don't actually mean it. But as a structural talking style.
Yeah, I'm very literal.
Yeah, you take the words to mean exactly what they're saying. So your structural talking style, you are moderate active, so you go really fast and then you take breaks, which I have seen you do. Yeah. And then again, this non-conservative financial logic, it's about attracting abundance easily. So really just like allowing that to be truth, because it's definitely in your charts, all across your charts, is that money's going to come no matter what. You're going to be able to attract it. You don't even need to necessarily focus on it. Yeah. It's just like a natural part. And
it's good to know.
Yeah. And you are physical sexual type. So it's important, I don't want to get too technical here, but it's like, foreplay is really important for you. And for me, we're the same type. Yeah. So
as opposed to, what are the other types, like emotional?
Yeah. So structural talking style, and then there's figurative talking style. Yeah. There's moderate active, and there's like super fast active. Non-conservative financial logic and conservative logic.
Okay, so there's like 2 of each.
Yeah, there's 2 of each. And then there's a physical sexual response, or an emotional. So an emotional sexual response would be like, you walk in and there's candles and there's music, and that's really what you need. But actually, we're not that. We're physical, so we just like need the thing done. You don't need the candles and music. That's nice.
I need like some cuddles.
Yeah, we need, like the physical touch. That's the most important thing.
And I think that's good to know, because it's, especially for a partner, it's hard for them to understand, especially when it's something that like is important to them. Say it is the candles in the environment, and I mean, which I love that too, but it's just it's not as important to me. But it's hard for someone to understand, like, how could this not be important to you when it is to me? And it's just, we're all different, and there's no right or wrong way. It's okay. This is part of the job. This is part of the podcast. I'm just sitting back and receiving it all. That's what I'm here to do. Facilitate, do my perfectionist setup mode, bring my white dog, and drink my tea.
She's back in front, too.
She's like, I hope I'm in the shot.
Are you talking about me?
Aw. Don't worry, Tola. I'll interview you. We need to find someone that's going to be the proper voice of Tola. I think maybe Nicole could do it. She does her really well. We mock the dogs almost every day during feeding time. Okay. Anyway, let's see. We're on the sixth of 7, or
we're still on genetic energetics, because I have something that I want to share.
Oh, great.
So you have false attraction, and it's totally okay. It's like I don't know the exact percentage, but like let's just say it's like half and half. So it's not like you're You have many people are out there have false attraction, and they're married and happy and all of that, but technically you're attracted to people who aren't necessarily a good match for you.
It's good to know.
And you have
So I should go after the people that I'm not attracted to.
That's the thing is this is part of your design. Like you can't change it, you know? And so it's not about changing. It's just about like, okay,
being
like,
aware.
Just being aware and just like knowing like I will probably fall in love with someone that after a couple months or years, it's like not going to be realizing that it's not necessarily a good match, but that doesn't mean you can't be happy and can't be in a good relationship. But ultimately you have a very self-empowered life. And you are also meant to learn how to be, this is part of your, I think it was your numerology, is how to be independent and then interdependent. So it's like important for you to also be in relationship. And so, yeah, I mean, this is good for all of us, but you also are, you have a protector modifier, which I also have. And so again, this is about, you know, survival and protection, but also being very sensitive and highly intuitive. And you're often approached for advice because of the accuracy of your intuitive sense. Okay. Finally. But then there's like five systems I talk about. So I'm making astrology last. It used to be first, but I've made it last because there are so many systems and I'm not an astrologer. So really I highlight all the different systems of astrology because there are many. And I personally think they're all valid. So I include your Western astrology, your Vedic astrology, and I'll just go back, but your 13 star sign astrology, there's primal astrology, there's your Chinese astrology and Celtic astrology. So
it's like all the different astrologies around the world, basically.
Yeah. So I just want to address Western astrology because it's really interesting.
And that's what most people are most familiar with is I'm a Libra and I do this because I'm a Libra.
Yeah, you're like a super Libra. You have a stellium. So you have 4 planets. You actually have 5 planets in Libra, but the stellium is 4 planets in Libra. So lots of air, lots of Libra. It's Libra. The sun sign is like more like your ego, and the moon you have in Virgo, which is more like your emotions. And your ascendant is actually in Aries, which is how people perceive you. So similar to your personality number in numerology, people actually see you more as an Aries. So fiery and determined. And
that's interesting.
But Libra is like your overarching. I mean, they probably see you as an Aries, but you have so much Libra in your chart that it's like hard to not see the Libra in you. So yeah, you were born.
But people probably see me as a little bit more fiery than I am in real life.
Yeah, I mean, you still have it, right? But what I like to also look at, and I give you your the houses because that's another layer that it's good for you to know. So your 7th house is like we were just talking about relationships. You've got 5 planets in your 7th house. So this is about not just partnership, intimacy, but business partners, and really like as independent as your chart is, you're also meant to work with people.
So that sounds like it's probably one of my biggest challenges is, you know, as being an independent person, being able to work with others.
That's right. Yeah.
I knew that.
But what was interesting in your Vedic astrology chart is your sun and your moon is in Virgo.
What Vedic is?
Vedic is like India. It's based in Vedic is Indian, and there's a South Indian chart and a North Indian chart. And I include both. This is like way past my understanding in terms of the technicals. So I really just pull it. I've gotten my Vedic charts done. I actually had my birth time rectified by a Vedic astrologer. There are people that say that Vedic astrology is more accurate, because actually, like with Western astrology, they'll say that the moon is in, let's say Sagittarius or something. But when you look up, it's actually in Taurus. And that's been my kind of issue with Western astrology, is like, in 13 star sign astrology, they talk about the true live time sky. So when you look up in the sky, you can see the moon. You can use an app. There's a little bug on my hand. You can use
we're outside.
And see, you can see where the moon is. But with Western astrology, they just go by a fixed system. So it's technically a whole sign ahead right now, and it's still true and accurate for people. So it's been interesting. That's why I just like to include all of them. And some people are like, I really resonate with Vedic astrology and 13 star sign astrology. And some people are like, no, I really resonate with Western astrology. And so all the layers can be true. So you have a lot. So as much Libra as you have in your Western astrology chart, you actually have a lot of Virgo energy in your Vedic astrology chart, having your sun and your moon in Virgo. And then your ascendant is actually in Pisces, which is that artistic kind of flavor, which I think a lot of people also see. Like when they first meet you, they're like, oh, she's creative and artistic. And Pisces is really represents that. And Virgo is like organized and earthy, and you have that too. Like you're all of it. You're all of it. It's all true. And again, we're both Virgos in the 13 star sign astrology, because we're actually only technically 5 days apart. So that's the 13 star sign astrology. I don't go too far into this, but I have a episode with a 13 star sign astrologist that talks about this system. And then primal astrology is actually a combination of Western astrology and Eastern or Chinese astrology. And this system was created by a man named Simon. I think his name's Simon Poindexter, and he just came up with his own system. He is an astrologer and created his own animal spirit primal zodiac system. So you are the crane in the primal astrology system. Graceful, generous, and friendly. And I
don't know about graceful, but so there you go, work on.
Definitely generous and friendly. And it's interesting. I don't want to go too far into this one, but cranes want life to be perfectly perfect. But deep down, they know that life has its ups and downs. So that's primal astrology.
I like the romantic dreamers to whom reality seems a dull chore.
Right. Totally.
I feel that sometimes.
And then more dog energy. So you were born in Chinese astrology, born during the year of the dog. So again, there's this like loyal, intelligent, just and fair, honest and attractive quality. You also, water shows up again. So there's always a layer of, with the Chinese astrology, there's an element attached depending on the year. So you're a water dog.
Oh.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Water dog. So intelligence, knowledge. Again,
so I'm like a Labrador.
Yeah. you're like a dog that likes to swim in the lake.
Definitely. I see there's negative traits on there too. I feel like we should address those since so much of this has been positive.
Let's do it. You can be cynical.
Definitely.
I don't know about lazy.
I mean, I'm cynical through this whole process. I'm like, I don't know.
You're like, let's talk about the shadow like, as much as possible. Judgmental is a negative trait. Pessimistic, worries a lot, stubborn, and quarrelsome. So those are the
totally true.
And affectionate, lover, steady relationships. And they
I think it's good to know those negative traits too, to be aware of them.
Yes, definitely. And I didn't touch too much on them, but they're all in there. You can Okay, so we have the final astrology system is Celtic astrology. So we are both the ivy tree. And so this is about being sociable, good-natured, expansive, and magnetic, and they win friends easily, which you have a lot of friends. A lot of people love you. And so I can vouch for that. And really, it's about personal exploration and transformation. And the butterfly is the symbolic animal. And they need to be careful not to get too caught up in others' problems. And this is actually, going back to human design, I didn't get into this too much, but you actually only have 2 defined centers. So all the rest of your centers are open. And what that means is you amplify other people's defined centers. And what can happen with our open centers, we both have open centers, is we can end up starting to think about other people's stuff, other people's problems, and just like think about it more than they're even thinking about it. And so it's super important to witness it and to know that this is a tendency that we have, is to get caught up in other people's stuff. And it's not our stuff.
And it's kind of related to empathy, and just, I've noticed when I'm in a group of people that sometimes it gets overwhelming. You're just so in tune with how everyone's feeling. And also for me, friendships, when people have issues, a lot of people do come to me for advice, as you mentioned before, and which I appreciate, and I love being able to help people and give advice. But at some point I need to be able to step back and say, okay, this is affecting me because I can't stop thinking about it. And I think that's where you learn where you need to put up your boundaries and kind of protect yourself, just because, you have to go on with your life also. And as great as it is to help people, you have to also maintain yourself so that you can continue to help others.
And, I just wanted to pull up your human design chart again, just to show how different, just because you're a generator, it's like a lot of generators have a lot of defined centers. Some don't. A reflector would mean that you have no defined center. So you only have 2 defined centers. You have your sacral energy, your consistent energy, and your spleen, which is another intuitive center. So those are your only defined centers. All your other centers are open. So I think that's why in your design, you have this selective caves. You are independent. You do working best. You work best alone. And these kind of design that you set up for yourself before you came into this in this world helps protect you because you have so many open centers. So knowing this is just good for you, and it sounds like you already do it. It's when you're in a group of people, at some point you're going to need to do pagoda time.
Go back to my cave.
You're going to need to go back to your cave. And that's just good. It's so empowering to just know this about yourself. Give yourself permission to go back to your cave. Be kind to yourself. That's really what all of this has been for me, is I used to beat myself up about who I was, who I am. And it's in this society,
comparing yourself to others,
and you have to be one way, but actually we're all different, and we all need to, we all like different things, need to cope in different ways, and that's okay.
Communicate everything.
So this is your word heart. And power is the big one that I talked about. Flow, inspiration. You're really meant to be a leader and inspire others. Abundance, you're fair, you have strength, you're idealistic, you're original, you're independent, you're innovative. And then I just wrote this short haiku. So it's based on your entire chart. So creative leader, powerfully abundant, I'm counting just to make sure, flow state, radiance. So that's your haiku.
Interesting.
And then, again, all of the resources for every single system. This first page is your birth charts.
Yeah.
They're all there. You can go to these sites and you can check it out for yourself if you desire. I also include the next layer of typology, which includes like Enneagram, wealth dynamics, and many other systems that if you want to go down the rabbit hole like I love to do, you can.
Yeah.
And then your physical types, your Ayurvedic dosha, your sexual anatomy, your blood type. There's so many different ways to understand yourself, and they're all in the resources section of your Intentional Life Roadmap.
Yeah, I think you do a really good job of putting it in layman's terms. You know, you offer the charts and all of the verbiage and all the stuff that, you know, the average person who hasn't read all of these things, it's going to be a little over our heads. But when you describe it to me, it makes more sense. You know, it's relatable, and you can even, since we know each other, you can even give personal examples. But I think even someone that you didn't know, once they start hearing these things are going to come up in their head where they agree with. And I think it's really helpful to be able to have the full spectrum of everything. And as I mentioned before, you can also do this for couples. So you can compare and you can show your ways of relating and communication. And I think that would just be like a really awesome thing to do for some, especially maybe someone getting married or thinking about getting married. Like, you know, it's not going to be like, oh, you're totally not compatible. Like maybe you should consider this. It's just, no, there's different things you could do to better relate with each other.
Yeah. To help you understand the other person more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that was amazing. That was really great to hear all that, because you'd given me my printout before, but which is really thorough also, but hearing it and having you describe it all for us live and for the audience also. Now you guys know everything about me. It's all out there for the universe, by the universe. If someone's interested in getting their Intentional Life Roadmap or hearing your podcast, Seeker's Library.
Seeker's Library.
Where can they go to do that?
I have a link tree that I set up that has all of the links. So just like Linktree/Seeker's Library, you can find all the different links. I actually encourage, you know, when I did it for you, it was like a birthday gift. So the synergy session that we're doing today on your podcast is an important piece. As you mentioned, like you had the printout, but it's really helpful when I can go through it all. So when you purchase the Intentional Life Roadmap, it includes a synergy session. So it includes an hour session with me so that I can go through it all. I'm open to doing it without it, but that's currently how I'm offering it, is like a package deal of the PDF and then the session. And Linktree has all the information. You can also go to seekerslibrary.net and you can find my website there. But Linktree is a really great way to find all the podcasts, all the YouTube, the Intentional Life Roadmap as well.
Your podcast is on Apple Podcasts. It's on like
all the things.
All the things. Okay.
Yeah.
That's kind of how it is now, is when you upload it, it kind of goes to all the places. So like Spotify or however people want to listen to their podcast.
I even finally got on iHeartRadio. And, you know, the other thing that I'm working on this year is that, you know, in those synergy sessions, I can't really go through the history of each system. So I'm going to be, with your collaboration a little bit with video, working on and creating like a video series that helps go through just overarching like each system and explaining it. And that gives a little bit more context that I'm going to start recommending that people watch before they do the session. And at the same time, like some people already know about some of these systems, and it's just a really great way to have all of your charts in one place. That's really kind of what my jam is like, let's seek the synergies. So
yeah, I feel like anybody I meet, you know, if we're ever interested in a relationship, I'm just like,
Here.
Here's the thing, just read this before we even start talking. And then also on social media, you're on Instagram.
Seeker's Library on Instagram. And my page on Facebook is Seeker's Library Podcast. YouTube is Seeker's Library. So really Seeker's
Which soon we'll have more videos going up on.
Yes, this was my my
first experiment in
Yeah,
the video
my
world.
newbie.
I'm glad I could help because
you.
that's a part of what I am here to do is to teach and inspire and have a white dog
And be powerful.
and be powerful and carry things down the hill from the house so that we can sit up in these beautiful trees underneath the birds. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
I think we covered
We covered a lot. Yeah, we're about
Yeah.
an hour and 20 minutes in
Okay.
right now.
Yeah, just to really like love yourself and accept yourself for who you are. Be yourself
Yeah.
because no one can be you.
Yeah, and take the time to discover who you are.
Yeah, know yourself is like, the Oracle of Delphi, it says know thyself. Not compare yourself to others, not try to be someone you're not. Know yourself.
Yeah.
And you have a unique purpose here. We all have a unique purpose. So know that, tune into that, and turn to these systems only when you want some confirmation, permission, or guidance. I'm not saying everyone needs these systems. I'm saying that they are helpful when you want some confirmation, support, or guidance. So yeah, thank you so much.
Exactly. Well, thanks for joining us.
Cheers.
Bye.
You're listening to the Tea Dropcast.
Thank you for listening to the Tea Dropcast. I'm your host, Pogoda, and if you'd like to have your own intentional life roadmap created by Ravyn, please visit the link in the show notes for a 10% discount. If you want to find out more about my guests or who I'll be bringing on next, you can visit theteadropspot.com. Follow us on Instagram at the Tea Drop Trailer as we take this show on the road. The Tea Dropcast is available on iTunes, Spotify, and you can watch us on YouTube. Please subscribe, rate, and leave a review. If you would like to be a guest or you know someone that you'd like to hear interviewed, send all requests to theteadropspot@gmail.com.